So approach to the jaundice baby. Determine first the body weight, birth weight, gestation, and the postnatal age, and assess the clinical condition, well or ill, and the degree of the jaundice. Decide whether the jaundice is physiological or pathological. Look for evidence of kernicterus in deeply jaundiced newborn. The the severity of the yellowish of the skin is can be increased from head to toe. We divided from the we classified the degree of the jaundice, the distribution of yellowish color from the head to toe. So if this starts on the head, the yellowish color on the head, we can say it is a first degree one. So if it is in neck and the head, head to neck, then we can say it is 2. Then if the yellow is spread to head, neck, and also the abdomen and thorax, we can say it is a type 3. If it is in lower extremities up to head to lower extremities, we can say it is 4. From we can say if the yellowish spread to head to up to feet, we can say it is type 5 degree. Okay, this is the distribution. So you can see here clinical assessment of jaundice, the area of the body. If the face, okay, we can if the bilirubin level 6 milligram per deciliter, so you can see the yellowish color over the face. And if it is upper trunk, it should be 9. And if it is lower trunk and the thigh, it should be uh, 12. And arms and legs, it should be 15. If it is greater than 15, you can see the yellowish or the palms and the soles. Okay, here you can see the in the head, it is first. And maybe in some tests it provides also the neck and also the thorax and abdomen, which include the second degree. And then third, it should be a part of the abdomen and the thighs. Then fourth degree, the lower extremity. And fifth degree, the palm and the soles or the feet. So the bilirubin can be the moves to brain tissue through the bloodstream. So it can cause the encephalopathy in children. Encephalopathy. Encephalopathy in children. So you can see the manifestations of jaundice in newborn: the yellowing of the sclera of the eye, the yellowing of the skin, and excess bilirubin in the blood. And this bilirubin is can be get into the brain. That's why I already said that it can cause encephalopathy. We called the encephalopathy in children, it is kernicterus. So the signs and symptoms. Signs and symptoms may include yellow coloring of the baby skin, usually beginning of the face and moving down the body. Then poor feeding or the lethargy. So high bilirubin or bilirubin encephalopathy is called kernicterus. You can see yellowish color here when during the cross section of the brain. Major clinical features of acute bilirubin encephalopathy. So lethargic and seen, poor sucking, poor or absent morose, reflux, then retrocolics opisthonis. This is the stature of the child when he have bilirubin encephalopathy. So the muscles in the back is going to be contract in this condition. So the child is leaned backward, and there is a condition called opisthonis condition. So you can see also the convulsions along with this condition. So retrocolis means backward arching of the neck, that is called retrocolis, and opisthonis means backward arching of the back. So you can see here clearly the backward arch of the neck and also the backward arch of the back. This infant present at age 30 days with serum bilirubin is 30 milligram per deciliter. It is huge, right? So it is more than 50 after 14 days, right? So secondary to Crigler-Najjar syndrome type 1, uh, he demonstrate retrocolis and opisthonis, signs of the intermediate to advanced stage of acute bilirubin encephalopathy. Major clinical features of chronic bilirubin encephalopathy: athetosis, upward gaze, sensory neural hearing loss, intellectual deficit, mild mitral regurgitation. Mitral regurgitation means the regurgitation of blood from the left ventricle to left atria. So athetosis means the slow involuntary movement of fingers, body parts, etc. Slow involuntary movement. Okay, that is athetosis. So laboratory test, you can see a high amount of total bilirubin. Total bilirubin. So then total and direct bilirubin. In laboratory tests, you can see blood group and RH for mother and baby, you should check, and hematocrit and reticulocyte count and peripheral smear you should count, you should test, and G6PD assay. Then Coombs test you can do, then sepsis screen and liver and thyroid function, then torch infections, then liver scan when conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, then ultrasonography, okay, of the liver and the bile ducts in cholestasis. Measurement of bilirubin by jaundice meter. This is the jaundice meter. Jaundice meter. Laboratory diagnosis, its features. So blood type of mother Rh negative and ABO O group, and blood type of infant Rh positive. The child may be A or B. Then you should check for is you should check for the possibility of hemolytic disease. Then anemia marked in mother and minimal sorry, the anemia can be marked in fetus and minimal in fetus in ABO. Direct Coombs test positive in RH. ABO it should be negative. Indirect Coombs test it should be positive and usually positive in ABO2. So reticulocyte greater than 7 milligram per deciliter can indicate the presence of an ongoing hemolytic process in neonates, which means that reticulocytes are immature RBCs. So the production of immature RBCs can be increased for the compensation of low compensate for compensating the loss of the mature RBCs. Direct hyperbilirubinemia in the neonate is defined as the direct fraction more than 2 milligram per deciliter or more than 20 percentage of total bilirubin concentration is always pathologic. So the liver function test, aspartate aminotransferase or alanine aminotransferase are elevated in hepatocellular jaundice or hepatocellular disease, and alkaline phosphate and gamma glutamate transferase levels are often elevated in cholestatic diseases. Then gamma glutamate transferase to alanine transferase enzyme. The ratio of the gamma glutamate to alanine ratio is more than 1. If it is more than 1, so it is strongly suggestive of the biliary obstruction. However, it does not distinguish between intrahepatic and extrahepatic cholestasis. For finding that, we should do the ultrasound. Okay. So reducing substances in urine is useful screening test for galactosemia, provided the infant has received sufficient quantities of milk. So the other test we can do the hearing test and brainstem auditory evoked potentials should be obtained in aftermath of severe neonatal jaundice to exclude the sensory neural hearing loss. So we can do the MRI in kernicterus. You can see the accumulation of bilirubin in the brain. Bilateral basal ganglia hyperintensity. You can see bilateral basal ganglia with hyperintensity. It's nothing but it's due to the accumulation of bilirubin. So the management, we have the phototherapy and the intravenous immune globulin, exchange transfusion, then drugs. You can see the baby under triple unit intense phototherapy here, baby under conventional phototherapy and the baby under triple unit intense phototherapy. And principle of phototherapy, so what it should do, it will do native bilirubin, which is water insoluble, right? Okay. And photoisomers of bilirubin, which is water soluble. Okay. So the phototherapy is helps to convert the native bilirubin to photoisomers of bilirubin, so it can be excreted through urine. Okay. So we provide the light of 450 to 460 nanometer of wavelength of light. Okay. So the guidelines for phototherapy in hospitalized infants of 35 or more weeks gestation, you can see here. So the phototherapy technique, you should perform the hand wash, place the baby naked in cradle or incubator, fix eye shades, and keep baby at least 45 centimeter from lights. Start the phototherapy, frequent extra breastfeeding every 2 hours. Turn the baby after each foot. Temperature record 2 to 4 hourly. Weight record daily. Monitor urine frequency. Monitor the bilirubin level. And you can see the difference between before phototherapy and after phototherapy. So a common mistake while managing the hyperbilirubinemia is the false belief in the efficacy of the ordinary fluorescent lamps and not dilate and dextrose 5% orally. Okay, so you should avoid the ordinary fluorescent lamps. Okay, it will not help you, and also dextrose 5% orally. So the side effects of phototherapy: increased insensible water loss, loose stools, skin rash, bronze baby syndrome, hypothermia, may result in hypocalcemia. Intravenous immunoglobulin (IVIG) in infants with RH or ABO isoimmunization can significantly reduce the need for exchange transfusions. So I just made a mistake that you should prescribe the ROGAM for mother, but it should be given to the children of infant. Okay, so you should be noted now. Okay, intravenous immunoglobulin prescribed to the infant rather than mother. Okay, now IAG has replaced exchange transfusion as the second line treatment in infants with isoimmune jaundice. So the dose is important: 1 gram per kg per dose. Okay, IV. So the exchange transfusion. Um, Exchange transfusion is indicated for avoiding bilirubin neurotoxicity when other therapeutic modalities have failed or are not sufficient. The procedure may be indicated in infants with erythroblastosis who present with severe anemia, high drops, or both, even in the absence of high serum bilirubin. You can see the substances or the things we can use in exchange transfusion: 2 catheter, push pull, outline and inline. You can see. So the phenobarbital or luminal hyperbilirubinemia, we should prescribe the phenobarbital 3 to 8 milligram per kg per dose per oral or IV. Initially may increase up to 12 milligram per kg per dose, not to exceed IV administration rate of 1 milligram per kg or minute or 30 milligram per minute for infants. Okay, not exceeded IV administration rate of 1 milligram per kilogram per minute or 30 milligram per minute for infants. That is important. Prolonged indirect jaundice causes breast milk jaundice, hypothyroidism, pyloric stenosis, ongoing hemolysis, Crigler-Najjar syndrome. Conjugated hyperbilirubinemia. Suspect high colored urine, white clay colored stool. The caution always refers to the hospital for investigations so that biliary atresia or metabolic disorders can be diagnosed and managed early. So remember that jaundice is the most frequent cause of admission after early discharge from nursery. It is not physiological if appear in first 24 hours and increases by greater than 0.5 milligram per deciliter per hour. Evidence of hemolysis, abnormal examination, direct bilirubin is greater than 20% of total or persists greater than 3 weeks. Jaundice present in the first 24 hours of life must be investigated and treated as an emergency. So friends, I think this video is helpful for you. If you have any doubts, please make a comment on the comment section. If you like this video, you can click on the like button, and if you didn't subscribe even now, you can click on the subscribe button, and for notifications you can click on the notification bell. And if you like this video, then share to your friends, and have a nice day. Bye. Okay, we can meet up on the next lecture. Thank you, friends. Have a nice day.